Welcome this afternoon to the Symposium and to this workshop, Financial Planning. The name is Workshop, so what I want to ask you and to invite you is to cooperate with me, because there is much more information before me than before you. I'm just only here, and you have, I think, a lot of experience. I'm already introduced. I work for Rabobank Amsterdam here in the center of the city. And the contents for today is the introduction of Rabobank sustainability. That's very important because you all have the intention to work as much as sustainable as possible. Then I want to give you some questions to yourself. And then we go to talk about the financial planning, investment financial plan, the exploitation forecast, and the cash flow forecast. Mostly talking about figures is quite boring. I hope to make it as less as boring as possible. And because you are all from different disciplines, I try to make it as overview as possible. And we are not going really into a lot of details, because also the time is too short for that. The Rabobank, well, I can say Dutch market leader in Holland. As you can see, we cover the whole country, which is not very big, but we have a lot of unique selling points. And well, we also market leader in small, medium-sized enterprises. But if you want to go international, we also have a support worldwide with the so-called Dutch desk, who provides you information of the country where you go to and where you are making business. Sustainability is very important for the Rabobank. That's why we also cooperate with the Green Collective. We want to work with our customers for a sustainable future. We help to assess environmental, social, and economic opportunities and risks. And we try as much as possible to provide financial products like bank guarantees, venture capital, but also climate mortgage and so on. Okay, the first question that I want to ask to you is, there are several disciplines here. We have architecture, Dutch design, and fashion. Whom of you is from the architecture part? Do I have some? Yeah, okay. From design, Dutch design, okay. And fashion, also some other creative industry here, or that's covered to the whole, okay. Then I want to know whom of you has already a company longer than 2 years, so 2 years old, okay. And who is a starter? A starter is from now maximum 2 years. Okay. And some want to start a company. They are still in the process. I see like you have some doubts. Yeah, okay. So not a lot of starters actually who have the intention to go. Well, that's very good, because that means that we have a lot of knowledge already also here available. Then a question, can somebody tell me why financial planning is important for your business to start? And some people already started some years ago, so can somebody tell me why it's important to have a financial planning for your company? Well, it's difficult, or we have the after lunch dip, probably, I don't know. Maybe I have to jump to. Thank you. Yeah.
I think the first law is very simple. You have to earn more money than that gets out within 1 year. So that's the first thing you have to look for to start with, I think.
That's already a start. That's true. Somebody else, an idea why it's so important to know before that, yeah, you have money enough to run your business?
Discipline.
Sorry?
because it's important to anticipate on future dilemmas like no new projects, or you want to do something more about PR, or you want to be in a fair somewhere in another country, something like that.
Yeah, to make a balance between all, all the matters that are dealing with your company, probably. Yeah. Well, I put some. One very important is knowing your business. What is your business about? What are you really doing? And you're all very creative persons, so you know in the creative field that you can achieve something, but can you also do it in the financial part? Because next to your creative possibilities, the financial part, very important. I'm not only saying as a banker, it's really before for yourself. So actually it's to know for yourself what is your business about. It's also about making decisions, like you said, like, okay, what kind of decisions do I have to make for my company? Do I have to grow? How much I have to grow? Where do I have to establish? Do I have to export? To which parts of the world? There are so many questions, and with the financial planning, you can give the answers yourself to the question. Making conditions, very important. If you have terms, for example, if you are selling business to business, you make conditions with the buyers, and also in which terms they are paying you, or with your creditors, with your suppliers, when do you have to pay them. So all that matters are part of the financial planning. And also I'm saying it's to save money, because my experience is that my clients, they come to the bank and they say, can you give me a credit? And then I say, okay, how much do you need? And then they say, well, I need 100,000 euros. Well, okay, that's a very nice amount. And then I'm starting to ask all the time questions, why you need 1,000 euros? Why it's not 50? Why not 150? Why is 100? Because mostly, if you go to the bank and you ask for money, you also have to pay for it. You pay interest. My salary has to be paid, a lot of other expenses. So you pay interest, which is expensive. So all the money that you ask is expensive money. And if you don't need, because you have a good financial planning, well, it's actually, I'm talking like the dentist. If you do good your teeth, the dentist is not necessary. If you do good financial planning, also the bank is not necessary. But it's also important to do for that case, the financial planning. First of all, before we go more into the details of the planning, it's important to ask yourself again a lot of questions. The first is to the business. What kind of business are you planning to start? A one person, so you have no employees, for example. What kind of legal form? We have in Holland, for example, corporation or the BV, the incorporate. Do you want to have employees? Do you need employees? For what you need the employees? And how are you going to sell your product? Is it business to business, or is it business to consumers? And then I want to ask you, and I hope some interaction, do we think small or do we think big by starting the companies? I mean, a lot of people of you already started, so I want to know, how were you thinking, small or big? Like, I go very little and I see how I go, or immediately with a good business? Can somebody tell me here? Yeah?
I think small.
Small?
Yes, I'm now alone. I want to grow to 4 people in about 2 years. And from then we will see.
And that's a planning that you do from alone to 4 people, or how you know that you need this?
Because I need those disciplines to get a good company, to have the knowledge for all parts, the sales, marketing, financial and design.
Very important what I hear here, to have different disciplines. So not doing your own, but also to have other people to help you with disciplines probably that is not your background, for example.
Yes.
Yeah. And you also know from which point it's possible to do. Like, for example, what are you creating? What are you selling or building?
I'm selling play equipment and street furniture, mostly working on solar energy.
Okay.
Yeah.
And can you tell me when did you start?
A long time ago, 12 and a half years back.
Okay.
Yeah.
And then it was just an idea of to start a company only for yourself, or you already had the idea to grow with more people, or?
Well, at the beginning I had intention to grow bigger, and from that I go too small again.
Okay.
And now I think I'm better skills, and now I'm looking further again.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you. So it's dynamic, I think. When you start little, want to grow, maybe not possible, going back. It's a continued process of how the company can develop itself, I think. Somebody else wants to share how it started and what was the idea? Like to compete with Philips was not possible, or other way? Not? Okay. So mostly we think small by starting a company, because if you start big, you really have to cover such a big field that mostly it's not possible to do. Okay, another question is the personal situation. Because, well, there are some people who still want to start, but the question is from which point do you start? You have another income, you have another job, maybe you have a partner who has a job. What is your living situation? And these things are all important for the financial planning, because if you, for example, have a job and another income, you don't necessarily need the income from the company that you are starting. The question I put there is all or nothing. As saying, I do it all, so I really go for an own company, or nothing, or something in between. Is there some experience in this field that somebody wants to share with me? Like to say, did you think about this, starting the company, or it was like, it was not in the head, so like we just go and see where it ends? Is there somebody? Yeah.
Yeah, I was starting my own firm now, I think 6 years ago. And just after I started it, I was asked to become a part-timer. And I said yes, because the financial situation was very positive when I should do that. And I noticed after a few years that I couldn't concentrate on my firm, on my business. So I quit that job, and I just only worked for my own firm. And I think when you want to start something, you have to concentrate on the things you want to do and you want to establish. I think that's very good to do.
Thank you. Yeah, because it takes a lot of time, of course, and you have to share that time. And if that is possible, yeah, it depends on the personal circumstances. I saw another finger going up. Yeah.
Yeah, I think I have a similar situation. I have two companies. One is a BV and the other one is a one-person company. And I also find it very difficult because I almost want to do both of them, but then you have to maybe recruit extra people, and it's and one I know I can earn money, the other one is not so sure yet. So I think it's a very difficult dilemma all the time, because you want to spend more on the other one, but then it's more risky maybe.
Okay, thank you. Is it also about the financial planning that we're talking about, to see what is possible if you really go for the company or not? Or is it more the personal feeling, the insecurity, the security, if I'm able to do or not? I'm asking, but people are not. I think there is a lot of experience here because most of them have a company, so.
I have a company in the United States, and half of our profit goes to internal investment for the future. We hired a grant writer recently who is starting to write grants for us, which is an investment which will pay off maybe in 2 years. But it'll be work that's solely for us. It's not a service industry anymore. So that's kind of the end goal. But that takes a lot of financial planning.
Yeah. Yeah, that's, thank you for your cooperation. Yeah, indeed, it takes a lot of financial planning. And I just want to make clear that with the financial planning, it's very important to see your personal circumstances and also what kind of company you would like to achieve. Before going on with the financial planning, I want to talk with you about the investment and the financial plan. To one side, we have the investments that you have to make, and the other side is how do I finance it? So it's really very basic. We go back to the basics. These are examples because you have all different fields. It's difficult to make just one sheet where everything is being covered, but I tried to cover as much as possible things and issues that can pop up when you are making the investment plan. We are talking about sustainable investment at the moment, about your materials, the production design, but also the distribution. And what is very important as well is the awareness, the usage and waste of the products, materials that you use, because we want to see if they are recyclable, and also, if it's possible to create other things with the materials that you buy. Labor conditions, if you decide to outsource production, part of your production will take place, for example, outside Europe or the States. What are the labor conditions? Is it something that you want to improve in the production? And you have to think of, because that probably also needs some investment. But yeah, if you want to go sustainable, mostly that's a part that is also taken care of. And then of course the housing. Do you have an office? You need a shop, you need a working place. Do you buy or do you rent? Then I want to make another question to you. When you started, were you aware of all the investments that you had to make? Or was it again a matter of, well, I will just see and go on in the process what I need? Or is it also something that you were really thinking of from the beginning? Is there somebody who can help me with this? So was everything clear that you needed, or it was just whatever comes? Yeah.
No, not at all. Like I needed to, like you said at the beginning. Or maybe I can take it.
Yeah, of course.
Like when I began to run my business, like you need to have a part-time job or something else to support yourself with all the investment. So when you start a project or a new venture, for me it was very difficult to figure out exactly how much money I needed to invest. So yeah, it's difficult.
And may I ask what you do?
I have a design studio that I do a lot of consultancy in creative like marketing and identity, but also I'm a product designer, so I'm trying to launch my own line of products.
And you work alone, or you have employees?
No, I have one.
Have one, okay. Thank you for sharing. Yeah, I think also the average is very difficult to know in advance what is really the investments that you have to make. But again, it's questions that you have to ask yourself, like, do I really know all the investments that I have to do? And yeah, mostly we forget something, but it's good if you know as much as possible, because to all that you can link a price. You can use it and to make a complete financial planning. So that was the investment side. What do we need? And then we get the other side. How do I finance? Self-contribution, that is possible if you have money for yourself to invest in your company. Other investors, a rich family member or a partner or something or another who is really into your business, who sees a future in it and wants to contribute in that. Of course, the bank can help with the financial plan, the money side, and also, for example, creditors. That is, for example, the suppliers of your needs. They can also give you terms, and they give you some space to have money to finance your investment. Something important in the creative industry, something that I see in the field. Do investors minimize the creative development? Because you're all very creative, and also known is that creative people just want to do what they want, and they don't want to have a lot of interference in that. Do you think, or somebody has experience with an investor, if that will minimize your development? Has somebody experience with an investor in the company, or is it all self-paid and, for example, by the bank? Nobody has like an investor in the company? No? Maybe all very rich business people here, probably. But then the question, why not? And do somebody think it will minimize your creative process? Or what is the thought about it?
I think investors make you make a creative administration. That's the other way around, because we have a foundation and we get a lot of sponsoring money and stuff like that. And we think it doesn't minimize, it takes all out of you, because you get more creative and in your process, but also in the creative administration. So that's very funny.
So they start to rule your company, or to decide what you can do or not, because of the funds there are?
No, because when you ask money from funds, you know what the rules are, so else you cannot ask the money for. So you know what you start.
Yeah, okay, and yeah, because it's based on the rules of the foundation that you get your money from. But of course, it's part of your business and your creative development, I think. Yeah. Because if not, you would not do it, probably.
Yeah, but you work at a bank, the Rabobank. But how do they react to people if they ask for sponsoring? For us, it's a very interesting question. Because we're talking about us, the creative people, but I think we are very interested in what your goals are with us.
Okay, that's another question for another workshop, probably. Yeah, that's a lot of things. Sponsorship is completely another field. Where I can talk about is providing in credits and in loans. And well, there I think, yeah, there is a lot of possibilities, but it always is.
Then the bank became an investor. If you are doing sponsoring, then the bank became an investor.
Exactly. So that's why I say it's completely another field, because we don't want to interfere in any way in your creative development, because we believe in you. That's why we give the money. So we are not giving or saying, okay, it's good to invest in your company, but at the same time, we are going to interfere in your, in your process. That is something that other investors, they do. They can have a big stamp on it. So it's something different than the sponsorship that the bank is providing, but that's completely another matter. Who has experience with banks for their business in loans or credits? If I may ask, it's just to share experiences.
Very nice story.
You have a nice story.
Oh, very nice story.
Okay, it's in the time, I hope we have.
It's a very simple
okay.
story. I have for 20 years my own, with a colleague, my own architectural practice. And when I was started, it was a very hell of a job to earn money and to hold your head above the water. So I thought, I'm going to the bank, and maybe they can mean something for me. And they were very clear, no.
Was it a Rabobank?
Was it Rabobank?
It was
another one. Well, it doesn't matter. Oh, also. I will not translate this into English.
But what is very nice about it, you are talking about a financial plan and about organizing a system. And what, in my point of view, that creative business is a very hell of a job to organize it. It's really something like a flow from a river, and you don't know how to canalize it. After a year, you are somewhere else than you thought of, and that the bank does see the same system. And how can you create a system where both parties are really connected to each other, and they are making a much better world.
Yeah.
Thank you for this. Okay. No, point is clear. Saying that it's very difficult to canalize. And if I say wrong, please say, to canalize all the financial issues that are coming to you, starting the business, especially in the creative sector.
I thought it's very difficult to, I'm sorry for the it's very difficult to create your own path.
Yeah.
You don't know where I'm standing over
ahead.
5 years.
It's not
It's
straight
really
ahead.
strange. It's flowing.
Yeah.
It's not a canal.
It's iterative also.
Yes.
You go back and forth.
Thank you. Well, then I have good news for you. It's actually for all the businesses in the same way. I have experience in also other branches, and most of my clients, when they come to me and say, I need the 100,000 that I said in the beginning, and I said, where is it for? Do you have a forecast? No, it's impossible to make a forecast because the economical situation and all the stuff that is coming around, and it's really not my core business, so no, it's very difficult. I get it all the time.
Okay.
But
that's nice.
What do you do with it? What do you do with it when a client cannot deliver finance? They will not have a loan, or?
No, what I'm doing is what I'm doing now with you. Is first to, it's with baby steps, I have to say, just little steps to see, okay, the questions that you ask yourself, from business-like, personal-like, then to see what to invest and how to finance, and now we go to the next step. And it's just little steps that you have to ask yourself, because if not, it becomes above your head. But it is very important to know, like I said, for yourself, first, what is going on in the financial way.
Yes, I am not a creative person. I am a financial interim manager, and I agree with you, because I hear a lot of stories that it's not possible to plan anything, and I don't believe that. But I also have the experience that you have to, think with the creative person, because creative can't be in a box, but there is perhaps a larger box, or a little bit left box or right box So I think it's very important that you have the good advice, and you need someone to be a little more strict than the person you are, I believe.
No, thank you. She's not paid to say this right now. So. No, it's true.
Yeah, I had a little thing to say about that, because I hear the financial one and I hear the creative one in the back. What we learned when we went to a bank, being a furniture design company, is that banks have certain risk assessment statistics. You know, for a carpenter, what's the rate of success for name any business. But because our business is fairly young, we notice at our bank that there is not the numbers are not sufficient enough to make a decent risk assessment for a company like ours. So in the end, with hour-long talks, we got them to agree that we were like 70% carpenters and 30% advertisement men. And we got this basic credit, so not really a loan, but maybe it would be something to work on that, because still, even only for furniture designers, well, we've been around for, let's say, industrial, since Crystal Palace, the World Wereldtentoonstelling, what's the name?
Yeah.
In London, you know, and it's like more than 100 years ago, I guess.
In 1850 something, I think.
So, well, it's about time then.
Thank you. Yeah, out of the box thinking, that is. And I can only speak for myself and where I'm working here in Amsterdam, and thanks God I'm working here because it's a very creative city and a lot of possibilities. But every company is different, and the problem is we have a format for every company that is actually the same. But one point very important for us and for me, when I have to give a credit or loans, is the company and the entrepreneur who is aside, who is the one who is running the company, and what is the motivation of that person, what is the creativity, what is the distinction of the market. That is also very important for us, for the bank, to decide whether or not there is a possibility. And it's also, we are not only thinking of ourselves, we are always thinking of you, of your own company. Because the most important is that you make a company that makes profit and that you can live from it. And that from there, that is a base that you can go further. That is something that I believe myself personal. You want to say something, or because no, okay, I thought. But this is clear. Yeah.
Question, maybe. I'm not an architect, but okay, I'm sorry.
What are you doing?
I'm a geographer. I'm a little bit outside of this story, but what my fascination is how architects, what success stories of architects have fitted in the Rabobank. Can you name some creative success stories about how entrepreneurs can really be good participators with you guys, and that you have to learn something from the architects as well, or the designers, or fashion people, whatever. Is it clear?
Yeah. Well, we always can learn from each other. What I can say is from the creative industry, which also is architecture, fashion, and design, and also photography. Yeah, it is because always there is a lot of creativity, and there's always a way of thinking to develop the business. And that is always something new for me in every business and every person that I have in front of me. Sorry, what?
That was not my question.
Okay.
The question was, can you type some success stories of architects that you have been business to?
No, not especially architects, no. I know there are some joint ventures here in Amsterdam which have become, but we also have a code in the Rabobank, and that is saying that we are not talking of client business when they are not informed about it. So if I don't have a go to say it, I'm not doing. No, I'm just doing in general.
But the creative industry in general, how is it doing in Amsterdam? Do you have good results with it?
Yeah, the creative industry is doing very good. So if I can put it in general ways, especially here in Amsterdam, the market is really growing for the creative industry. As we can see here in the center, it's now one of the main branches next to tourism, of course, and also the commercial advice. Like lawyers and also the financial sector, but it's really it's really growing, and we see that a lot of little companies are coming, especially to Amsterdam for that, and we have good stories in that field.
But when you're talking about the growing creative industry, do you mean that they are increasing in number, or do they increase in turnover?
Both.
Okay.
Yes, they are increasing in numbers, but also in turnover in the business. So, as we always see, there are a lot of economical problems, but there are also chances to go on. Okay, so we had the investment plan, financial plan. Now I want to talk about two important parts of the financial planning. One of them is the exploitation forecast, and the other one is the cash flow forecast. And as the mister said, it's a hell of a job to forecast, to see what is going on. Still, this is one of the tools that is helping you of creating your business in the financial way and to let it grow. The exploitation forecast is a part where some issues are also to take in considerations. For example, if you have contracts, if you're working on contract base, or if you have season influence, for example, in the fashion industry, there is a season influence. Branch information, that's also very important. Also in all the questions that I hear, check the information that is available in your branch, so you can always benchmark with it and to see how your personal situation is fitting in the progress of the branch. And also, for example, the business to business or business to consumers. Who is working business to business here? Can I? Okay, and business to consumer? That's also like half of it, yeah. So in the exploitation forecast, as I say, for example, for 1 year, you also look to this site matters. This is an example of an account result. So exploitation forecast means how much turnover I will do, for example, the next year. Or if that's too difficult to imagine, for the next month, every month, half a year, 1 year. This is average in the creative industry, how it could look like. I'm saying how it could look like because it's again very difficult to make an average. But okay, let's see. Your turnover is 100%. The repurchase is 52, so the materials that you have to buy, the cost price of the goods that you have to buy. Your gross margin will be around 48%. Then it's coming the costs. If you have employees, salaries, 13%. Housing, depends if you rent or buy. It's about 6%. Other costs, distribution, office costs, 13%. Depreciation means the goods that you have invested in, for example, machines, you have a depreciation on it, and the average is, like you say, 2%. And then the financial costs, that is the costs of the bank, of credits, of loans that you have to pay back. So the average earnings before taxes is around 11%. This can already say a lot, and this can really help you a lot. For example, if you have a turnover of 100,000 and a year, and at the end you have 11% left to live from, can you live from that, from that amount, or is that really not enough? If you have a single company, of course you take out the salary, then you have 24%, so around 25,000 euros. Is that enough to live off? That is a question that is very important because, yeah, you should live at the end. It also, you can see if there are parts in your company which have much more percentage. Maybe you spend a lot on salaries, and you have to ask yourself why. Why my employees are so important, or are they really needed to get that salaries? Maybe they are very specialized. Your housing situation. So you can see with all the costs at the end what result you have. And this maybe is not very difficult if you just start one month by one month to do, because you know every month how much you have to pay salaries. Maybe nothing if you are one person. You know the rent, you know the other costs, so you can easily go by month to see what is the result. Somebody does that in this way to make an expectation turnover. I see the Mr. smiling like you want to react, or or is this already too difficult for the most of you, or it doesn't ring a bell? Maybe also like, what's he talking about?
I don't understand. A second one, is it costs? Second one.
Yeah, the repurchase is the cost, for example, your materials. Or
and if I don't have materials?
If you don't have materials, for example, if you buy from abroad your goods, that is also possible. Okay. That is part of the repurchase. So it's the direct cost that you have, and then is coming the other costs. That,
why did you put it at 52%?
I put it at 52% because that's the average in the creative industry. Here in Holland, I'm talking about. So maybe you have 55 or 40%.
No, I don't.
No
costs like
but this is just an average, and to give you an idea how the result is made in your company and how you can make a forecast of it.
If I look at this, it doesn't make sense to start on company because you only keep 11% from 100 before tax. It's not really motivating.
Okay, well, that's I'm coming back to the questions. Like, yeah, do you all the hassle for this 11%, or you think like, no, that's really not enough? That could be.
It depends how much you earn, of course. It depends on the turnover.
Yeah, and for example, do you have employees, or you work for your own?
I work on my own.
Okay, so you can add the 13% salaries. So then you have 24%.
Yes.
Sounds better?
Sounds better.
Yeah, it really depends on the circumstances. But yeah, you can ask yourself, is it enough? But if you make the calculation for yourself, maybe there is a minus. Yeah, then it's really the question, what do I do?
I'm really bad at math, so because I do this, but like by numbers, not by percentages. Is there like out there like some sort of like tool, or I mean, I'm sure like Excel, things like that. But how can you translate everything into percentages? I know it's like a rule of 3 or anything, but explain it to designers.
Well, this is creativity from the financial sector. No, what has been done is that from all the benchmark, all the numbers are taken, so it's billions and billions, and then there is a percentage taken. But for very simple, if you have a turnover of 100,000 euros, so your repurchase is the 52%, and your gross margin is 48% of the 100,000. So you can just fill in your own figures to see where you're going to. This is it's more like to know around the percentage of your costs is going where to which part. That's also good to see. Like I say, maybe your housing is 20%. Well, where you work, like in a golden flat or something, it's like, or maybe it's needed for your company. There are templates, Excel sheets to make for your own, to put in the figures.
How are they called?
They are called the exploitation forecast. But I can apply for that if there is a need for that. That is not a problem. But this is just to show as an example to the average.
I was wondering, in all these slides we see now, the success is measured by profit and money, and I was wondering if you would see any business model coming that takes other parts of the business into account, more related to sustainability.
Well, the sustainability, no. This is quite like an average. Because, like I said in the beginning, in your investments, there are some parts that are related to the sustainability. This is for the sustainable creative industry, more or less, the percentages. So, but again, it can be very different which company you have and in which field and what you do with the sustainability. But I don't have like a sheet that is really especially with the sustainable parts.
I was wondering, as a lot of industries, especially the fashion industry, is talking about consuming less, and that would affect your business model. So I was just wondering if you could tell something about that.
What I can do is, at the end there is a reference to the benchmark that Rabobank does. And they're especially into the fields, so also for the fashion, like where you're talking about. And there they go more into the details. The same for architecture and design, because you have other needs. You have other materials that you use. So it was going too far to present it here diversely, but we have information about that.
Yeah, I think this question goes in the same direction because I think everybody, I mean not everybody, but there's a big talk about the cutting the consumption in order to reach a more sustainable level on, and I was wondering if actually the Rabobank is thinking about or taking this into consideration into their way of giving funds or in their business model in general.
Well, that's again about funding and about sponsorship in a way. What we do is with a request, with the information we have, and especially on the sustainable matter, is to see if it's if it's going in the way that it's going in the branch. So if we see that there are costs made and there are sustainable changes that approve the sustainability. We have information about that, but again, finance your business is something like tailor-made. So then it really goes into the matter again, and here I have to be a little bit more general. But certainly when it's special, in your case, we can give advice and provide you information about that.
I have a small question which I think the other two are leading into. Would maybe your interest be lower if the company was really sustaining biodiversity? if someone takes a credit, would you then charge them a lower interest rate, for instance, because it is a more economically sound, or not economically, environmentally sound investment?
That's that's also a very difficult question to give answer on, because let's say yes. There is
a very simple question. And it's really a simple answer. If you don't do it, you will be there, not over a few years you are dead. You must do something. Yeah, you must do something.
Well, we are doing it.
I know. Okay.
Yeah. Okay. If that's giving an answer to your question, yes. Maybe it's good to make another workshop another time, and especially about the products that we are providing, instead of making it more general about your expectation forecast and cash flow forecast. But well, that's something that with all the questions is to take in consideration, I think.
What I think that most people feel now is that this is quite traditional, and we're all trying to think in new business models, or like related to nature and other values than money, and then this is kind of a mismatch, maybe. For I don't know.
Well, it's traditional, but this is still the format that the financial sector is using as a base to go further, and to also to create with you the format, especially to your company, with the sustainability. There is a lot of possibilities. This is just the base. There is not, I cannot present you a format that says like, okay, if you have less than this CO2, or if you you get your goods from this country or from that country, that will make, that's really going too special actually. But maybe it's good to have in a follow-up going more into the details. However, I think that then you also have to divide the branches. So do you fashion, you have architecture, you have design, because every field has its own way of dealing with the sustainability issues. That is how we are seeing it. So yeah, in a way traditional, but from that it can go special, but again it's really tailor-made. And sorry, I don't have the time for that right now.
Just to let you know, we have about 5 more minutes.
5?
Yeah.
Okay, so then I go to this very fast. So next to the expectation forecast, there is the cash flow forecast. So that is to see what money is coming in and what money is going out in your financial planning. You manage expected income and your expenditures. You have a management case and a worst case. So your management case is you know how much you will earn, but the worst case is what if it's less. And it also can give you answer to the question if you have money for investments, machines, stock, housing, and if you have money to pay your short-term liabilities, which is the creditors, your rent and salaries, because that is really on short terms that you have to pay. We have 6 steps for that, so that you can easily calculate what is your cash flow forecast, and that you can also do by month. So really little by little. I will say take 12 months, 1 year, because you have the whole circle of your company. What is provided as the money. Okay, you start with the account beginning of the month, let's say 25,000 euros. Then you take all your income and all your expenditures. You take also your planned investments, so how much do you think you need to invest in machines or other stuff. You calculate all the income and all the expenditure, and the difference you take off from the starting of the account. So the starting was 25. For example, your income is also 25 and your expenditures are 40. So at the end of the month, you have 10,000 left. Okay, the 10,000 is the start of the new month. Then you do the same, all the income, all the expenditures, and so on and so on. Maybe with all the investments that you also want to make, you can see that after half a year, you have a debt salad of 50,000 euros. So you see with all the business that you want to do, you have a short of 50,000 euros. And then you can decide which measures are needed. And with that plan, you can also come to the bank. And then we can say, okay, how much do you need? I need 50,000. Why? Well, you show it, because at the end of the 6 months, there is the 50,000 needed. This really gives you a forecast of the cash flow, so to see how the money comes in and out of your company. Also, that is maybe sometimes difficult to forecast, but again, I will say start little, start every month, and to see how you can proceed in that. Because of the time, is there a question about, or? Okay, well, thank you for your attention. Probably the content of this workshop was different than expected, but it also makes me clear that there is much more to say about and much more to talk about. But what I want to say with this is that we from the bank really are willing to help, to think, and to share our information in this field. But also the input of yourself is always very important. And I hope with all these steps, I give you a little platform to, well, to make this reasonable for yourself. Thank you.